Greetings, everyone. Welcome and happy autumn. The fall equinox will occur at 6:04 p.m. Pacific time, which is just a few minutes from now. And Rosicrucians around the world are celebrating this special day with our annual memorial ceremony that's sometimes called the pyramid ceremony. And in this ceremony, we honor those before us who have preserved and perpetuated the Rosicrucian teachings. And I invite you now to think of the Rosicrucian or the mystic who introduced you to the Rosicrucian order. This may have been a friend or a family member, or maybe it was the author of a book who you never met. So just pause for a moment now to give thanks to that person. Now, let's give thanks to everyone who helped to establish the Rosicrucian Order AMORC so that we all can benefit from the teachings. You may want to include H. Spencer Lewis and co-founder May Banks Stacy. Also, please think of all the Rosicrucians who have volunteered over the years to serve and perpetuate our order, those known and unknown. Now, please think back to the mystics of ancient times in ancient Egypt and Greece and Rome, the Essenes and the alchemists and Kabbalists, the Rosicrucians of the 1600s. Send thoughts of gratitude to these people who preserved and perpetuated the ancient mysteries so that we can benefit from them today. And now, fratres and sorors, please consider the role that you play in the long tradition of our august order. You are the Rosicrucian order. There is no Rosicrucian order outside of us. We perpetuate the Rosicrucian order with every sanctum period, with every Rosicrucian ritual, every Rosicrucian gathering like this one, and in our interactions with others. See yourself as an integral part of this long tradition. Thank you. As I mentioned, Rosicrucians around the world pause to recognize the equinoxes and the solstices, these natural cycles of life. These are natural laws. Spring is a time to plant and autumn is a time for harvest. When I am sometimes asked what Rosicrucians study, I often reply that we study natural laws in order to better live in harmony with them. Here is a natural law as an example from the Rosicrucian ontology, which is our statement on the nature of being. Again, this is from the Rosicrucian ontology. Our destiny is determined by the manner in which we apply our free will and by the karma resulting from this. From a Rosicrucian perspective, this is a law. So again, our destiny is determined by the manner in which we apply our free will and by the karma resulting from this. If we live in harmony with this, then we realize that the way we think, act, and speak will determine our destiny, what our life is like. There are other natural laws that affect the best time to do things. For example, the monographs tell us that the best time to plant plants is the week before the full moon. And that's what we do at Rosicrucian Park. We plant our plants the week before the full moon. And this isn't arbitrary. The full moon affects the water table, and it puts the water in the position that best supports a new plant. If we were to plant at another time, the water would be going in a different direction. William Shakespeare wrote, "There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune." Again, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. We study natural laws and cycles in order to benefit from their energy and to avoid working against them. If we place ourselves in harmony with the flood that Shakespeare speaks about, it leads on to fortune. We're with the flow. H. Spencer Lewis wrote extensively about natural laws and cycles. His book, Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life, is available for free online. In fact, all of the Rosicrucian books, every book from the library of books that the order has published, they're available for free on rosicrucian.org. And then there's a tab at the top that says books, or you can go to this site, rosicrucian.org/rosicrucian-books. And Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life is available there. Again, H. Spencer Lewis wrote this in 1929. And we have in this year's Rose Quad Journal, the Rosicrucian Order's online scholarly journal, a very interesting article by Soror Ann Nordhaus-Beich. It's called Mystical Astrology Behind Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. So you may find that if this book interests you, you may find that article interesting as well. And again, that's at rosequadjournal.org. In Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life, H. Spencer Lewis describes the effect that our connection with the energy of the cosmic has on our daily lives and choices in order to help us achieve the best outcomes possible. So again, we put ourselves in the flow of energy. We are beings of energy swimming in an ocean of energy. Energetically, there are better times to do certain things, to take certain actions in order to receive positive results. In Eastern traditions, this is sometimes referred to as an auspicious time. There are 8 cycles described in Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. H. Spencer Lewis noted that there will inevitably be some conflicting advice for some people between the 8 cycles. For example, our business cycle may suggest something different than our health cycle does for the same period. He advised paying closer attention to the matter that is most important to us at the time, whether it's personal, professional, or spiritual. The first cycle is the simple periods of human life, which is 144 years long, beginning with a person's first breath, and is divided into approximately 7-year periods. This cycle helps explain a person's development throughout life and is described in detail in chapter 5 of this book. The book states an ancient natural law is that human life is divided into a progression of periods, each period lasting approximately 7 days of approximately 365 days each. I will pause after each period so that you can think about your own life or the life of your child or grandchild as I summarize these 8 periods. So period 1 is from our first breath, from birth to the 7th year. This period is for self-discovery and rapid growth as we explore our relationship to the material world. So again, just take a moment to consider if this rings true with you, either in your own life or if you have a child or a grandchild whom you have watched develop. So again, this period is for self-discovery and rapid growth as we explore our relationship to the material world. Period 2 is from our 7th to 14th year of age. Our dynamic physical changes in this period take prominence over our mental development. At the end of this period, most human bodies have begun the journey to adulthood. Period 3 is from our 14th to our 21st year. The mental and psychic side of our development return to the forefront during this period. In the final year, most are considered full adults, with all the legal, mental, and psychic responsibilities that come with it. Period 4 is from our 21st to our 28th year. The development of the emotional spark awakened in the previous period becomes centered to growth as responsibility, intuition, and psychic faculties grow during this period. Period 5 is from our 28th to our 35th year. The creative processes of the mind are most active during this period. It should be noted that at this time in life, many of the world's greatest philosophers and mystics found cosmic illumination or complete attunement with cosmic consciousness. Period 6 is from our 35th to the 42nd year. In this period, people are most interested in exploring great knowledge and the hidden facts of life. Many are driven to start disposing of wealth during this cycle, as they feel the need to return to the cosmic and other people some of their gains. Period 7 is from the 42nd to the 49th year. In this period, the mind turns more strongly towards religion and philosophy than business. Humanitarian activities also become more frequent. Period 8 from the 49th to the 56th year. As the physical prowess lessens in this period, so too do personal or selfish ambitions. The building up of the spiritual being takes highest importance. Period 9 is from the 56th to the 63rd year. The focus on the development of the body and on material gains should nearly fully give way to the focus on the development of the spiritual being in this period. The remaining 7-year periods in a person's life end in approximately the 144th year and involve the breaking down of the physical body alongside growing spiritual development. For every person, this cycle manifests itself in accordance with the individual's progress through the larger cycles of life, which is to say, with what stage of development they've reached on the path of reincarnation. So that's a summary of the, excuse me for just a second here. That's a summary of those cycles. Then the next chapter of Self-Mastery and Fate focuses on the yearly cycle of human life. The second is the yearly cycle of human life, which is 365 days long, divided into 7 approximately 52-day periods, beginning with a person's birthday. This cycle describes the best personal and professional practices for a person based on the time of year. Many Rosicrucians have commented that they find more challenges than usual during the couple of months before their birthday. And I've heard members say, I'm in my 7th cycle. That's the number of the cycle right before our birthday. And here's what the cycle of life states about that cycle. Period number 7. This is the critical and disruptive period of life in each year, when devolution precedes evolution. If a personal or business affair is leaning towards failure or strife, this is the period it is most likely to happen. So it is important to guard against despondency. Guard against impulsiveness during this time. And if something can be postponed until after your birthday, consider doing so. This is a good period for dealing with mature people, our elders, judges, and referees. Business interests dealing with inventions or mechanical things, real estate, agriculture, and minerals are more likely to succeed in this period. It is the most unfavorable period for starting anything new. And then we come to the period starting with our birthday and lasting for 52 days. Then we say, thank goodness, now I'm in my 1st cycle. And here's what the book says about that. Period 1. This is a good time for solicitation of favors. Additionally, this is a good time to try to advance oneself in work or society. For this is the period that cosmic vibrations most favor the boosting of your reputation. Now, chapter 7 in Self-Mastery and Fate focuses on the business cycle. This is also 365 days long, divided into 7 approximately 52-day periods, beginning the day a business started operating or engaging with its clients. This cycle discusses best business practices based on the time of year. And again, this is described in detail in chapter 7 of the book. And I know many members who have applied the cycles of life in creating exceptionally successful businesses. Next, we have chapter 9 of the book, which is the health cycle. This cycle follows the same timeline and periods of division of cycle number 2. This cycle describes best health practices based on the time of year. Again, the period just after our birthday is positive. It is the most vital period for our health. And the 7th period, just before our birthday, is the most challenging. In fact, the book states that if possible, we should even avoid things like having an operation right before our birthday because our mind and body are rather vulnerable at this time. The 5th and 6th are the cycles of disease and sex, and they are based on the 28 lunar cycle and the 12-hour tide cycle. The short period before the full moon or high tide is considered positive, and the period after is considered negative. And each one has certain effects on health and maternity. And this is described in chapter 10. Chapter 11 focuses on the daily cycles of hours. I'm going to share my screen again here. Hold on. Okay, so this is a chart from the book, and it shows the 7 periods of the daily cycle. This divides the 24-hour day into 7 periods, each consisting of approximately 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 43 seconds. So the 24-hour day is divided into 7 periods. The cycle begins at midnight and ends at midnight. And the user of this cycle should base the beginning on whenever midnight is in their local area. The cosmic effects on daily living during each period change depending on the day of the week, as will best practices. So it depends on the time of day and the day of week. And this is described in chapter 13 of the book. A group of Rosicrucians recently developed a Cycles of Life app that you can download for free. And we are sharing in the chat the QR code that you see on the screen here, and you can click on that, and then you put your phone's camera on that QR code, and you can download the app. And you can also put your camera toward this QR code on the screen, and it will read that, and it will take you to a page that says test flight, and you just click on that, and then you'll go to the Cycles of Life app. And I would especially like to thank Gurinder Singh, our frater, who initiated this. And we have a whole team that's been working on the Cycles of Life app. And we appreciate you downloading this. It will tell you what cycle of the day you're in. And if you have any feedback, please let us know. So again, the app is based on this chart, and the app will report to you any time of the day what period you are in, and includes the chart with the periods for each day of the week. So this chart is also in the app, but this is what it's based on. So today is Thursday and is between 5:08 and 8:34 p.m. in California. So if you look at the chart, you see Thursday, and then you go down to number 6. It's the second from the bottom. It says that we're in the C period, C like Charlie. And here's what it says about the C period. So this would pop up on your app. This period is fortunate for undertaking intellectual pursuits like research, publishing, writing, studying, teaching, and critical self-examination. Engaging in fine arts like plays, music, and painting. Buying livestock, starting short-term contracts and advertising campaigns, hiring, short journeys, taking medicine, lending but not borrowing money, beginning construction or new plans, signing important papers, and allowing a little recreation or socialization. Mystics will find it is also an excellent period for the study and realization of great truths. This period is not fortunate for dealing with foes or lawyers, giving way to usual cautiousness and nervousness. It's not a fortunate period for getting married, for asking for favors, or for having surgery. So your app will be able to tell what time of day it is where you are, and it will tell you which period you're in and gives the description. Now, if you're on the East Coast, you're not in period C because it's later there, and it's the D period. So again, you go to Thursday, and this is period number 7 from 8:34 p.m. to midnight. So if you're on the East Coast, this period is fortunate for working on any business affairs, dealing with the public, farming crops, making new acquaintances, hiring, taking any journey by or activities around water, getting married or courting, preparing for or having surgery, soliciting sales, and giving way to ambitions, as they will be most likely to be successful at this time. This period is not fortunate for making new plans, buying livestock, signing legal documents, or starting legal action. Not fortunate for borrowing money, engaging in games of chance, and asking for favors. The next period in the book that's described is the soul cycle. This is in chapter 14. The soul cycle, which is 365 days long, beginning on the spring equinox, is divided into 7 52-day periods, which is further divided into 14 26-day polarities. This cycle explains the effects the cosmic has on a soul personality and advises on how to engage with someone who is born during each polarity. This is described in detail then in chapter 16. The soul consciousness, which is a person's true inner nature, begins with the first breath of life and is in attunement with cosmic vibrations. A person remains in attunement with the rhythm established at birth. So this system examines what the effects of the cosmic vibrations are on a soul consciousness throughout the year. The 9th cycle is the cycle of reincarnation. This holds that our whole existence in this universe is divided into larger periods of approximately 144 years. It is impossible to know exactly which period we are in, which is explained in detail in chapter 17. So again, here are the summary of the cycles as described in Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. So the first is the simple periods of human life, which is 144 years long, beginning with a person's first breath and is divided into approximately 7-year periods. This cycle helps explain a person's development throughout life and is described in detail in chapter 5. The second is the cycle of life, or cycle number 2, which is 365 days long, divided into 7 approximately 52-day periods, beginning with a person's birthday. This cycle describes best personal and professional practices for a person based on the time of year. This is described in detail in chapter 6. The third is the business cycle, or cycle number 3, which is 365 days long, also divided into 7 approximately 52-day periods, beginning the day a business started operating and or engaging with its clients. This cycle discusses best business practices based on the time of year. This is described in detail in chapter 7. The fourth is the health cycle, or cycle number 4, and it follows the same timeline and period divisions of cycle number 2. This cycle describes best health practices based on the time of year. This is described in detail in chapter 9. The 5th and 6th are the cycles of disease and sex, and they are based on the 28-day lunar cycle and the 12-hour tide cycle. The short period before the full moon or high tide is considered positive, and the period after is considered negative, and each one has certain effects on health and maternity, as described in detail in chapter 10. The 7th is the daily cycle of significant hours, which divides a 24-hour day into 7 periods of approximately 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 43 seconds. The cosmic effects on daily living during each period change depending on the day of the week, as will best practices. These are described in detail in chapter 13. The 8th is the soul cycle, which is 365 days long, beginning on the spring equinox, and is divided into 7 52-day periods, which is further divided into 14 26-day polarities. This cycle explains the effects the cosmic has on a soul personality and advises on how to engage with someone who is born during each polarity. It is described in detail in chapter 16. The last cycle is the cycles of reincarnation, which holds that our whole existence in this universe is divided into larger periods of approximately 144 years. It is impossible to know exactly which period we are in, which is explained in detail in chapter 17. And again, this book is available for free if you go to rosicrucian.org, and at the top there is a tab that says books, or you can go to rosicrucian.org/rosicrucian-books. And the name of this book by H. Spencer Lewis, which again was written in 1929, is Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. The book has in its conclusion the following statement. Within you and about your own existence are the greatest fields for exploration that humankind has ever known. And while you are delving into the mysteries of your business, the mysteries of your social, financial, and other affairs, do not neglect to delve into the mysteries of your life, the mysteries of your own being. In other words, recall the ancient scriptural injunction, with all thy getting, get understanding. So the theme of our symposium for the symposia this week is applying the Rosicrucian principles. And this gives us a lot of tools to apply the Rosicrucian principles in order to understand natural laws so that we can live in harmony with them. Tomorrow will be the last presentation as part of this autumn symposium. And this will be presented by Frater Hugh McCaig. The name of the presentation is The Heavenly Ascent from the Priestess Diotima of Mantinea to the New Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreutz. And that will be tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. So now, fraters and sorors, to close our time together, we're going to apply another Rosicrucian principle, and this is singing the Rosicrucian chant. So I will sing the Rosicrucian chant, and I invite you all to join in wherever you are. So ready? O love that knoweth of no fear, a love that sheds a joyous tear. O love that makes me whole and free. Such love shall keep and hallow me. Peace profound, everyone. Bye-bye.